Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the fourth webinar this year in the Sentry User Group banner. Today we're going to be looking at two topics. They are Juno 2020 and Juno StudyTime, where Juno 2020 is a new product development that we've undertaken this summer, where there's been a requirement for customers to manage student numbers attending and student numbers expected in order to comply with safer opening and social distancing, whilst at the same time with capacity reduced, with desk numbers limited. So at the same time providing students with a quick and easy and fair way of getting access to that reduced resource. The second topic we're going to look at is Juno StudyTime. So Juno StudyTime is our component of our resource booking solution, which goes down to individual desk level or individual study space level. So we'll be taking a look at that too. There are two topics. Just to introduce who's here today, who you're going to be hearing. I'm Kevin. Hi. I'm the Sales Account Manager for the South of England. And I'm joined in presentation duties by Barney, Sales Account Manager for the rest of the UK and Ireland. Good morning, Barney.
Good morning.
We're also joined by Daisy, whose role this morning is to keep an eye on your questions and hopefully feed those in at every opportune moment. So morning, Daisy. And we're joined also by Bolash, our newest member of the Telepen team. Bolash's role this morning is, Bolash is software development. So he is our product technical backup this morning. So basically we'll hear from him if me or Barney get out of our depth. So
good morning.
We might not hear much or we may indeed hear an awful lot. And we have our delegates, yourselves. Hi, thank you for joining us. Last time I looked at the registration list, there was about 24 of you. So we're always delighted with the response that these webinars obtain, and glad you can join us today. You're all Sentry customers of one form or another, and you're dotted around the UK and Ireland and Italy as well, in fact. So we've got a bit of a Six Nation thing going on this morning. Those of you that have joined on the previous webinars, which we held during lockdown 1, as we called it at the time, will be a little bit familiar with the format. Those of you that are just joining for the first time this morning, welcome. And the format is that we go through a bit of a presentation for you on those two topics, and there'll be an opportunity for Q&A at the end of each topic. You're welcome to speak at that point. But if you can otherwise keep your microphones muted, that would just help with the audio quality as we go through. You're welcome to use the Q&A button on your Zoom toolbar if you wish to send us over any questions at any time, and we'll try and feed as many of those in and answer them as we possibly can. The webinar is intended to last for 30 minutes, but we have struggled to strip the content back to just 30 minutes. So we do think we will run over that. We hope as many of you can stay as possible for that. But we are recording, and so if you do have to go, then hopefully you can catch the end at a later time. You're unlikely to appear. I don't think we would record any videos in that recording. It doesn't work that way, but your name may appear, of course, if you ask a question. So you doing so is taken as permission to release that recording, which will go on our video website. So we ought to move on, and the first subject then is Juno 2020. I'm going to hand over to Barney to take you through that. So Barney, it's all yours. You need to, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Yeah, morning, everybody. So we'll get straight on talking about Juno 2020 on this fairly cold and, well, snowy, at least here in Nottinghamshire, morning. So the format essentially will be, we'll take a look at the purpose and product overview, so we'll take a look at the client application, what the staff see, and we'll take a look at the student experience, what they see and how they experience the product. And then we've got some time at the end for some questions or any questions that you may have. So Juno 2020, as Kevin mentioned, it's our latest development this year, really entirely off the back of the COVID pandemic. And its design is to provide the function for fairer and safer access to the library or any building or resource, really via a multi-person booking function. We do this, we link Century Juno and our room booking product to provide an end-to-end automated access validation system. So right from the point of the student making their booking to the point of them gaining entry to the library, it's entirely automated, with the idea really that there should be no, if possible, staff intervention, or at least very limited staff intervention. So doing away with any need for potentially a staff member to be stood at the entrance gates with a clipboard checking people's whether they're allowed in or not. It's provided with a secure and intuitive student interface, which we'll take a look at in a little while. Very straightforward for them to use. And it gives you the ability to offer flexible access allowances. So there's a very flexible calendar that you can set up when you're allowing people to book and access, and you can choose whether it's booked time slots by half an hour, by an hour, or by the day, and you can adjust that at any point and change. We've really tried to make this as flexible as possible to really suit as many different needs as there may be. And built into the products are some no-show mitigation. So looping back to our fairer or intentions for fairer access. So if people are making a booking and then not turning up, then that clearly means that potentially somebody else has not been able to access that resource, and you may want to have some tools to respond to that. So that could be anything from just sending a reminder email or a warning email if they haven't turned up, to being able to ban them for a period of time if you so wish. And then with it being a fully automated solution, you're able to access a whole load of stats about the resource usage analysis, and you can look at bookings, how long people have booked for, how many bookings they've made, and how long they've stayed for, and all the access. So it really helps you review what you've been doing, and then also formulate that into your plans for any changes moving forwards that you may need to make. And the intention is that it involves limited, or in many cases, no additional infrastructure costs. So generally, it's an entirely software-based solution. It builds on the existing Juno access control and room booking system. So some of you already have room booking, some of you don't. But the idea is that it should just be able to sit happily alongside the existing infrastructure and software that you've got installed there. Where there might be additional costs for hardware, we'll talk about that in a few slides' time. So as mentioned, we are utilising the Juno room booking software platform. This is an established product of ours. It's been around for getting on for 10 years now. And this, as in the name, we initially developed this to be a room booking product, where essentially it was a single resource for a single booking. And so we've made some fundamental changes to that to meet the different needs. So now it's a multi-person booking utility, and we've linked it to Century Juno Access Control, so somebody can make a booking and then the access control system validates it. So here, multi-person booking, as I mentioned, you can choose exactly how many resource types you've got. So it may be that you just have a single general library visit, or you might want to add additional ones. It could be a PC use visit or browse and borrow, entirely up to you. And you can then choose the amount of bookings available to that resource, and that could be per library or other building. If you've got more than one library, you can allocate different numbers of bookings, accordingly. And the library has full control over the booking allowances. You can do this via user category if you so wish. So it may be that different categories of user get different allowances, or you may just choose to have one single default. And you've got a whole range of options there for how many days in advance they can make bookings, the total amount of bookings they can make in a day or a week, all that sort of thing. And then built into the system, there are various email confirmation and reminder options. So hopefully avoiding the need for any no-show mitigation. So there's confirmation there, there's reminders and cancellation messages as well. If somebody chooses to cancel their booking, they'll get a confirmation of that. So students can view future availability and book online in advance using the booking form. And then the university, you as the library have got various options. So do you want to allow your students, once they've made a booking and they've entered the library, are they allowed to leave and then re-enter during their booking, or would you rather, if they leave during their booking, that's the end of their booking and it frees it up for somebody else? Do you allow them a late arrival? Is there a grace period? You can set this by the minute, so it might be that you want people to turn up within a set period of time. You might want to say you've got to arrive within 5 minutes or 15 minutes, or your bookings then lapsed, or you might want to make that unlimited so they can turn up at any point throughout their booking. And this would relate probably to how long your booking periods are and how flexible you want to be with the students. Do you want to allow ad hoc visits? So it might be that you set aside a certain amount of visits as bookable only, but you allow a certain amount for people just to turn up and gain access then. And we can further granularize the booking ability to select only permitted booking times. So for instance, it might be that you've got particular bubbles and you want to separate when these bubbles are allowed to access. So for instance, on a Monday, you might allow general bookings throughout the day or throughout the morning, but for between midday and 5 p.m, only a specific user category is allowed to book at that time. 4 periods throughout the day, and it's a rolling 7-day calendar. And then the system works alongside the maximum occupancy that you've got configured within Sentry, so you can be absolutely sure that you're never going to exceed your maximum occupancy at any point. And then we've built into the system some overstay assistance. Obviously, once somebody gains access to the library, they're for a certain period of time, but it may be that you don't have any idea where they've gone when they're in the library. And there's a potential for them just to get engrossed in whatever they're doing and obviously not realise it's the end of their booking period. So we've built in an automated email option that can send an email just advising somebody that they've reached the end of their booking and they should make their way to the exit. So what does the student see? Let's take a look. So they access the web booking format, usually via your library website, and it could be on the other side of the student portal. So they'd need to authenticate themselves. If it's on the other side of the student portal, this library card number would be pre-populated. They authenticate themselves either through LDAP or whatever your method is, using the password. And then they can take a look at the resource types available to them. So this could be a whole long list of resource types that you've configured, or it could just be the one general library visit. They select the type of visit that they want to make, and then they're presented with their date options. This links back to the parameters that you've already pre-configured. So if you've said they can only book 3 days in advance, they'd obviously only see the 3 days that they can book for, or you can allow them for the 7 days or however far into advance you want them to be able to choose. So they then select a date, click continue, and it then presents them with the booking table. So this example shows hourly booking slots across the 5 libraries that we've got. But this, as mentioned, could also be half-hourly slots, or you could just configure it that it's a daily booking. And obviously the open and close times are completely up to you. It could be for 24 hours system, or you can limit the times. And those times available can be different per library and per day of the week. The student then selects the times that they'd like to book for. Again, fully configurable by you. So you could say they're only allowed to book one 60-minute slot, or they can have unlimited booking privileges. Or you could say they're allowed 4 slots per week, or 10 over a month, or however you want to break it down for them. At this point, they hit the confirm button and they'll automatically receive a confirmation email with the details of their booking. And then 24 hours before, they'll get a reminder email to make sure they're aware that they've got the booking and they can then turn up. So on the day of their booking, they then arrive at the library and they can turn up at the access control barriers that you've got linked to Sentry. Or it could be, and this is where I previously mentioned about possible additional infrastructure, it might be that you want to extend this booking facility to a building without access control barriers, in which case you could easily add one of our RB2 controllers, which is an interactive touchscreen controller with a built-in reader, and you could add that to the entrance, and students would then present their card to this and gain entry in that way. And that would be also linked to Sentry, so it's giving you all the access validation and statistics in the same way as the barriers. So when they arrive, whether it's swiping their cards or presenting their cards at the barriers or at an RB2, Juno will automatically check that they've got a valid booking, and if they do, they're allowed in, and they're automatically recorded as entered, and that means that they've taken up their booking. If on checking Juno finds that there's no valid booking found, then the user would be, or the visitor would be presented with a meaningful refusal message. So they wouldn't be allowed in, and it would tell them that no booking found at this time. At which point they can check that they've arrived on the right day, check their emails, or go and speak to a member of staff, or potentially they haven't made a booking and they'll now be aware that they need to make a booking to gain access. Linking to Sentry Juno, as mentioned, means that if somebody doesn't turn up and swipe in, then a no-show can be recorded for that user. So then you can put steps in place to get in touch with them and say that they've not turned up and they've missed out on that booking. And then all the other normal Juno rules that you've set are still in place. So passback delays and all the other rules that are unaffected. So in summary then, so we've provided or built a multi-person system for the booking of resources, whether that's a library or another building or other resources. Provides automatic end-to-end access validation from the point of student booking via the web portal right through to getting into the library. It helps provide you with fairer and safer access to your buildings. Particularly this time with restricted opening and reduced occupancy availability, provides you with no-show mitigation, and provides you with a rich suite of reports for resource usage analysis. And then that brings us to the end of this section. So are there any questions?
I have a question from Judith Smart. She says, is library booking available in the room booking API?
Good question, and the first one that I don't know the answer to off the top of my head. If it's not already available, I'm sure it can be quite easily built into the API, Judith, but I'll certainly follow up on this and get back to you on that.
Nothing more at the moment.
Any other questions there?
Oh, Pete Morris has his hand up. I don't know if that means he'd like to talk. Oh, Kevin, can you unmute people?
I can. I have to stop sharing my screen. Pete, you might be able to unmute yourself or use the Q&A to message your question through.
Paul Egan, could you build in something similar to max minimum allowed to pause a booking?
Oh, so yeah, this is a feature that's in the study time that I'm sure Kevin will touch on. So could we build something similar into this product? In a word, yes, I think that should be possible. We'd have to scope out what that means. So we can certainly look at that and let you know what the options there are, Paul. So are there any other questions? Was there one from...
Right, Pete has sent a question. It says, we get a large number of students who turn up without their swipe cards. I appreciate this is a people problem rather than a technical one, but nonetheless, it happens a lot. What are your thoughts on how this would be handled?
So the first thing you can do is add our day ticket kiosk, which is exactly for that. So for people who've forgotten their card, who turned up, they're able to use the kiosk to get a temporary pass, and then they can access the library in exactly the same way. This system is integrated with that. Otherwise, I'm not quite sure what we could do there. I don't know, Kevin, have you got any thoughts on how we could?
Well, Juno Buddy would also be an option, wouldn't it? So Juno Buddy is the phone app that allows students to use a phone rather than a card. So you've got the kiosk and the phone app. But otherwise, you've got a bit of a problem on how you're going to get through the turnstile. So you could buzz. I mean, if you want to report to the desk, you could buzz someone through the turnstile, and you can manually initiate the take-up of their booking through the client software as well. So you could handle everything at the staff desk if you wanted to let them in without a card.
Okay, Mike Moore, can you set up overstay warnings / bans in the same way as no-shows, or is it limited to a reminder email that was demonstrated?
No, so you can set up bans and overstay. Well, overstay warnings are limited to the emails, but bans you can configure in the same way as you've already got the facility. So it could be that you configure that in advance, or for some other reason other than no shows, and it will work in exactly the same way.
Paul Egan, can you produce a report on how long people are overstaying, and could you build something similar to management of no-shows?
So that is probably a similar question to the previous one, I think, or at least the second part of that is. The report we could look at, it doesn't exist at the moment within the report suite, but we could look at, and there's also the analytics product that allows you to create your own reports, which you could also opt for. I think I think what the last two people have asked for then is a means to keep track of those people that are overstaying and potentially invoke some sort of penalty against their ability to book, like a no-show, but just an overstay. We don't do that at the moment. I think it's a very good idea. So we'll add it to the development process.
Judith Smart, for authentication for the web booking, is there still only one LDAP configuration file? We have two on the temporary card kiosk, but only one on room booking via the web, which means our staff can't authenticate to room booking.
Okay, that's another good technical question. Balash, I don't know if you're able to comment on this off the top of your head, or without looking.
I will have to look into this one.
No problem, Judith. We'll get back to you on that one as well. All the tricky questions.
That's it at the moment.
Okay. Well, in which case shall we move on? And so moving on, we're looking at so Juno 2020, where we've looked at the facility for booking access to the building sort of in general. But we've also thought about how can we extend this further. So how can we extend this functionality and make this work even better for you if needed. And so this is where Kevin will take over to talk us through Juno StudyTime. So Kevin.
Thank you, Barney.
Cancel.
Yes, so what we have with Juno 2020 is we've got very good control over how many people are coming into the library now. What it doesn't do then is determine where they go once they're in the library. So if everyone heads for the same corner, then it hasn't quite achieved the level of safety and social distancing that it was hoped for. So that might be where Juno StudyTime comes in. And I think that probably 2/3 of our customers, I should have looked and I do apologise, but I think about 2/3 of our customers that have adopted Juno 2020 this term have also adopted Juno StudyTime in conjunction with that. So this morning we're just going to have a little look at the product, a very, very brief look at the product. If anyone wants a more in-depth look, then please do ask us at any time. More than happy to go through it. There's lots more to tell you about. But we are going to look very briefly at the phone app and the digital signage, which we'll say a lot more about shortly. And then at the end, we'll have some Q&A time as well, hopefully. So Juno StudyTime is a booking facility, a resource booking facility, which goes down to individual desk level, individual study space level. And it has in conjunction with that digital signage functionality as well. So we'll be taking a little look at that as well. So you'll have heard us talk about Juno Room Booking, and you'll have heard us talk about Juno StudyTime, and they're both resource booking applications. And so it'd be worth just spending a moment just outlining what the differences are, what the similarities are, but certainly what the differences are as well, and why we have two products. So they share a client application. So this is the staff view into the system. It allows you to set up and configure all the resources and the settings. It allows you to run inquiries on things like bookings, and allows you to run reports. All that is done through a single client application. You also have a single web booking application for the students. So they'll open one web application. It might ask them whether they want to book a room on the mezzanine or a desk over in silent study, for example, through a single application. But there are differences. So there is an RB2 door controller. So this shows you the status of the resource at the present time. It shows you the availability of that resource at later times. It allows you to book through the touchscreen, and it is used to register your arrival if you have pre-booked. So it does all of those things, and it's wall mounted. It also has the ability to control access or control a lock, electronic lock on a door. So we use it in conjunction with access control. So if you've made the booking, you can get in, and if you haven't made the booking, then you don't get in. And because some of the rooms might be group study rooms, and the person arriving first may not be the person that made the booking, then we have a PIN mechanism that the study group can share amongst themselves, so that the first person to arrive can get in. So the RB2 essentially is designed to go on a wall, potentially designed to control a lock, and therefore sits very firmly on the room booking side of our two systems. We have customers that have the RB2 without the access control, and we have customers with room booking without the RB2 as well. They just use the web application for advanced booking. But the RB2 firmly sits on the room booking side of the solution. So if you are wanting to book desks, for example, or similar small study spaces, and you you can't cost justify, well, there's no handy wall, for example, to mount an RB2, or you can't cost justify a very large number of door controllers, then how does a person signify their arrival at the desk and that they can actually take up the booking that they've made? So that is why we've developed the phone app. The phone app achieves this through use of barcodes that we deploy on the study spaces. And because the number of desks may be far more significant than perhaps the number of rooms that you might be looking to control, then we have an additional means of identifying availability in addition to the web application and the phone application. We have some digital signage available. So we have some things over on the StudyTime side of the solution as well. So it's all about what features and functionality there are within the two products. You could quite happily use StudyTime to book rooms if you wish, and you could quite happily, if you wish, put RB2s on desks. So it's much more about the features and functions that are in the two products. So we're going to take a look at a couple of features within StudyTime. The first is the phone app. A very quick look at that. So the phone app initially allows you a few options for making bookings. It depends on what your preferences are, what your so for example, are you fussed about what day you want to study, or are you more fussed about what resource you want to take up and less fussed about what day you want to study, for example? This will dictate what mechanism you might choose to find your space. So View Calendar, for example, just opens a grid similar to the web application, where we can clearly see the availability through the day of the different resources on the day that we've chosen. And we can quickly see what's available and choose that if we wish. Alternatively, especially if we want to perhaps study for a longer period of time, in which case finding a consecutive run of green space is not the easiest thing. So the alternative perhaps is to specify how long we want to study for, and the app will return the resources that are free for that period of time. And you could click on one of those and specify that you want to book it. However you find your available space, it will take you through to a confirmation screen, which will give you a bit more detail about the product, an image and a bit of description. All, of course, user configurable. The image may be a map of where the space is within the library. Of course, that's an option, or it might indeed be a picture of the resource. And that confirmation screen obviously allows you to confirm your booking. Once you've confirmed it, all you've got to then do is sit back and wait until the right time, and then you just got to turn up. And this flowchart gives you an idea of what you then do. So there are two branches actually. So our pre-book branch is down the left-hand side here. So basically all you do is you open the app and you scan the barcode. The system will check that you're in the right place at the right time. And if so, it will register your attendance and it will start your countdown. And that's basically it. If you happen to not have pre-booked, but you think you've found yourself a spare desk, then you just pretty much do the same. You open the app and you scan the barcode. The system will check that the desk is indeed free. It will check that you're entitled to book it. It will check whether it's available not just in this current session, but in upcoming sessions. It will offer you the options of how long you want to book for. And once you've chosen what you want to do, it will start the countdown. It will create your booking, confirm your arrival, and start your countdown. And so a little look at the digital signage that I've mentioned. So these are floor plans that are real time. So you'll typically have a floor plan per type of resource. And these are URLs, so you can have them on display on large screens, for example, in the area itself, or you can obviously have them designed for use on phone apps or on websites. and each desk within the system is represented by colour. So the green means the desk is available, red means the desk is spoken for. Yellow actually is where the desk has been booked, but the person hasn't turned up yet. So the yellow ones will turn red or green before long. These floor plans are all user creatable. We provide a tool that allows you to generate your own. Typically you have a backdrop image, which is the shell of the floor in question, and then you drop onto it the study spaces. So just to summarize StudyTime, I told you it was a quick walkthrough, but to summarize the benefits of the product, it provides students with a way to book high demand spaces. It's all about high demand or smaller numbers of resources. If the student can always turn up and get a study space that they want, no matter what the time is, then this is of somewhat less benefit to them. It's all about being able to get that higher demand space, and it does so through the permissions that Barney showed you. Sharing out those permissions or limiting those permissions, it provides a fairer mechanism, an ability to get that resource shared by a larger proportion of the overall student population. We've got good visibility of availability either through the web application or the phone application, or of course through the digital signage. So that is better able to get the students to see those corner spaces, for example, which actually are free. And we can monitor no-shows, and if someone doesn't turn up, we can release that study space for somebody else to take up. So all of those things lead to increased usage of what these days is a reduced capacity. That improves student satisfaction, hopefully, and of course not forgetting in the current times that we've got that safer occupancy, we've got that social distance control, because you're in charge of the desk layout, and you're in charge of you're specifying which students can study where. Oops, apologies. Low infrastructure costs, so that's referring to the fact that all we've got at each individual study space is a single barcode. We don't have any hardware to deploy at all at the desks, so it's just the cost of the barcode. And we haven't really mentioned, but we have a report suite with the product itself, much like the report suite in Juno Access Control, where you can view or print or export a range of reports. And we have the analytics product as well, so we have the business tool available as an option, which will allow you to create your own reports as well if you wish.
While you're there, Kevin, I'll do one question quickly.
Sure.
Pete Morris has said, we've had a decision made by senior staff that QR codes are not to be used so as not to cause confusion with the NHS test and trace codes. Are there alternatives to QR code scanning? Yeah,
absolutely. We, in fact, I'm not sure any of our customers have used QR codes. We can strongly recommend the Telepen barcode as an excellent 1D barcode. That's what we've used. I mean, hopefully you're okay with other types of barcodes, and a 1D barcode is a very, very different thing. So I hope that's what you mean by your question, rather than a completely different technology. But yeah, we certainly don't have to use QR codes. So I'm indebted to Claire at the University of Surrey, one of our customers for this term, for a few kind words about how they've got on with the product this year. So thank you for that. That was a very recent conversation with Claire. So they're using it on about 500 desks, and in fact, I can show you a couple of their floor plans. So this is a live floor plan on level 3 for individual desks. They were saying actually that that things are a little bit quiet. I think they're at half capacity with their 500 desks, or even less than half capacity. But they were saying that actually they are a little bit quiet in footfall at the moment, which is interesting. So if there's another one. Yeah, so I see that the dual monitor desks are a little bit popular than the ordinary desk, which perhaps isn't surprising. So that's Juno StudyTime. Any further questions?
Lisa Jeffrey has asked, can you have a mixed economy of booking slots, i.e. set different booking lengths for different resource types?
Exactly that. We have this two-tiered structure for well across the room booking and the StudyTime product. So each individual booking item belongs to a type of resource. You can set your templates by type. So I think I'm right in saying that Surrey's deployment obviously was all about social distancing and safety this September, and it would have defeated a bit of the object of the installation if on those hourly bookings the entire library vacated and an entire new population turned up all at the same time, and you had all these people at the one entrance point. So they've staggered their timing. So they've got a quarter of their bookings start on the hour, and then a quarter past, and a quarter at half past, and so on. So you can absolutely do that, or you can have different time periods. So you can have some that are on a 1 hour slot and some that are on a 2 hour slot. It's entirely up to you. Any further questions?
Nothing come through at the moment, Kevin.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm sure we'll still be online for a couple of minutes, but we'll bring a formal end to the webinar then. Thank you very, very much for attending. I hope it has been of interest and of use. If you want any further information at all on any of this, or more in-depth look at anything here, then please do get in touch with me or Barney or any of the team, and we'll be happy to take you through it. We very much intend to run some more webinars in 2021. So we've got no date for the next one yet, but we will obviously let you know when we do. Don't worry about that. We also very much hope to, or expect at the moment, to run the actual Central User Group in 2021 as well. So we can actually get to meet you all again. So we are looking forward to that. And again, there's no date yet, but we will let you know about that as well. There will be nothing before January. So I guess, as well as thanking you for your attendance today, perhaps we'll just wish you, if not a Merry Christmas this year, then at least a peaceful and safe Christmas. And we hope to talk to you in 2021. Thank you very much.